Hello everybody and welcome back. Today's block is called Buckeye Beauty, and I may have done this one already, maybe even called it a different name. I'm not sure, but this one is a different size. It's a 12-inch block, and it's going in my sampler quilt for this fabric, which is, what is it? Simply Delightful by Sherry and Chelsea. So for this, I have chosen these three fabrics. Excuse me. For fabric A, we'll call this fabric A, I needed one 7-inch square. Fabric B, I needed one 7-inch square. And C and D, you need 4 3.5-inch squares. But I had a fat eighth, so I just cut the bottom off. I've already done one, and it left me with about this much left over from the strips. I've already put one together in the interest of saving time. And pain on camera with my wrist. So we're just going to sew these two together, just straight down. I'm going to pin it because my hand strength is not what it used to be, and I'm afraid it'll slip, and I don't want to have to use a seam ripper. So we're just going to pin it straight down and lay it to the side. We'll get to that in a minute. This one we're turning into half square triangles. So I'm going to move this because it was just for show. We're going to flip this over. I also already drew my lines. We're just going to put right sides together. And I'm going to pin that on both edges, corners, opposite corners, parallel to the lines. For the lines, I just laid this 1/4-inch ruler. This is a 1/2-inch ruler. It's a 1/4 inch on each side of the yellow line in the middle. So I laid that with the yellow line in the middle, just lined up with both corners. And I took my friction pen, it erases with heat, and I put a line down both sides. I leaned it in a little on both sides, and we're going to sew just a hair on the inside of that because, you know, you have to account for the width of the ink, and you're not going to get it right even with that. So we're going to head over, we're going to sew both those down, the line and the other strips together. Alright, I'm going to start with this one because then I can sew the other one and it will serve as my starter, ender, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to go just a hair on the inside of this line. And then we're going to take this down, just straight line. Then we'll cut the half square triangle ones off, and we're going to sew the other side. On, again, just a hair on the inside of the line. My line's a little choppy anyway because my pen was running out of ink. I think it's because it's cold in my basement here where I sew, and it didn't want to cooperate. But I got it to work enough for this. Alright, we're going to cut this apart. Take the pins out. All of them. So this is a sampler quilt, but I guess this could also, these fabrics right here, could work for Christmas or really Valentine's Day because they're red and pinks. They're pretty. Alright, we're just going to press that open. This one, however, we're going to cut first. Oh, there it is. I was going to say. Need to get organized. Just going to cut it corner to corner. Ugh. I do not have good luck with rotary cutters. Even when it is a brand new blade, I just don't have good luck with it. So we're going to iron these to the dark side. Same thing I did with those. I did not say that. I apologize. But we do iron to the darker fabric because that's what I was told to do. So that's what I do. Set the seam. All right, let's lay those off. Now we're going to do some trimming. And I don't know if I gave the size. These are 7-inch squares, and these are 3.5-inch strips, which will turn into 3.5-inch squares if you were cutting them and sewing them separately, which is fine. Mine were just already in little strips, so I went with it. So for this, I'm going to line up the 3.5 here, because that's what I want. And that should come with 3.25 across your seam line, because your total should be 6.5. So you're just going to, it really doesn't matter. I could do it with any line there, as long as the line across this is straight. So you just have to, you just want your seam line to be straight. So we're going to line up the 3.5, and any random line just right there is good. We're going to trim that. Then we're going to do it again. 3.5 inches is what you want. All the way down. And this line is straight across. That'll go to my scraps or maybe something else. I don't know. So then you're just going to lay that out like that. Are these opposite? There we go. Sorry for the dumb moment. So you're just going to pin at the seam. And at the end. And at the beginning. And I was going to trim those first, but that's done sewing. So we're going to go sew this up, and then we'll trim those. So let's head over here. Alright, so all of our blocks are mostly done. All of our little squares are mostly done. We just have to trim one. We'll iron that in a minute. Well, let's iron it now so they're both ready. I guess I'm going in different steps, and I should just do one block at a time. So these two blocks are identical, just what we wanted. Now we're going to trim these. We're going to trim these to 6.5 also, because that is what this is. And we want them to be the same size, or it won't fit together properly. So first I'm going to line up my diagonal. And I'm going to go as close to the edge as possible. And see, there's, you might not be able to see, but there's just a hair past the 6.5 on this. So you want to make sure there's some still hanging over. So it's enough there to square it up. We're going to flip it around, and now we're going to line up the diagonal again and the 6.5-inch point down here. And if both those are lined up, your 6.5-inch line on both sides should line up beautifully. Trim off both those sides. And one more. And again, we're going to line it up as close to the edge there as possible. Where you're trimming a little bit off. You don't want it to, you want it to be straight. But you don't, if you cut too much off on that side, then it won't work on, it won't come out right. Because if you cut it and then you can't get the side, like if I wanted it 7 inches and I cut it too short, I can't do that. So you want to make sure when you're lining it up that there is some to trim off on the remaining 2 sides. So then we're going to line up the diagonal, the 6.5 inch point, and that will line up your 6.5 inch lines on both sides. And then you have a beautiful, beautiful half square triangle, or whatever block you were making. Now we just have to lay it out. And these, I had my pink ones going towards the middle. And these, the white ones, are going to go down through there. So now we just have to sew those together. So we're going to fold this over. And again, I am going to pin because of my hand issue. Hand issues, because there's more than one. I'm going to start at the back because there's no seam to match up anywhere on this, or the bottom rather. And I'm going to pin it 3, beginning, middle, and end. Lay it to the side. Do the same for this one. We're going to flip it over. And beginning, middle, and end for pins, just like the other one. And beginning. So let's head over there and we will get these sewn up. And the other one. Guess I'll have to pull that one out. I didn't get it far enough over. Alright, let's go iron them open. I'm not going to cut them apart because that's how I want them to line up. So I'm just going to leave it like that. We're going to iron to the half square triangle. I'm going to slide that over. That's not what I want. And then we'll just do this one this way. And then we will I'm going to fold this one down. And since we ironed them both to the half square triangle, this should line right up beautifully. And one at the end. And then one at the beginning. And let's go sew it up. Pull that pin out, and then I felt my seam pop up because it's going towards the computer and I want it to stay that way. The sewing machine, and I want it to stay that way, so I made sure I did. Same thing with that one. The bottom one gets stuck right here on this lip. Well, there was no bottom one, but that's what it does. It gets stuck on that lip and it flips it the opposite way. So I go under and flip it back. There we go. The button didn't work. Oh, see, it didn't work for me, but whatever. It'll be okay. If it was for somebody else, I might undo it and restitch it, but it's not, and my seams are matched up beautifully, and that's what I want. So there it is. Again, it is called Buckeye Beauty. I do believe there's other names for it. If you want to leave them down below, that'd be great. If you don't, that'd also be great. So it is a 12-inch block. It's 12.5 now. It will finish as a 12-inch block. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you make it and love it, and I will see y'all next time. Have a great day.